the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it all!
What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are here to recap Bellator 294 and 295 from this weekend. Crazy weekend of fights.
Crazy weekend of fights. I think
we only covered a few on the 294, but
we covered five, and
okay.
one of them didn't happen. But I went back and looked. I said I would go back and look to see how you did. The last podcast you called 12 fights, and of those fights, 2 of them got scratched. Of the remaining 10, you got 9 right.
Nice.
That's not bad, man.
Yeah.
That is not bad.
Sarah McMahon surprised me, so that was the one I missed, beating Arlene
and
Blanco. But
it was a decision, and I think it might have even been a split.
Yeah, it was a very close
I'll have to
fight.
go back and see. So, I mean, if you're a split decision away of running the table on that.
Sweet.
So
I should have parlayed all that.
That would have been awesome. So the first fight then that we do want to talk about was Chocoli and Lombardo.
Yeah. So the Russian got knocked out. That's all that matters to me. It happened. He did, right?
Lombardo?
No.
Chocoli
Chocoli got knocked out.
Chocoli? I think he won, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Because you picked Chocoli, didn't you?
I probably did. I won't be mad to miss that one, though.
I'm trying to load it up right now.
Pretty sure he got knocked out.
But
because Tyler was messaging me during the fight, and I'll tell you some funny stuff about that too.
I want to hear that. Yeah, I'm waiting for this to load for some reason. It's not. There it is. Chocoli. Nope, Chocoli defeated Michael Lombardo. Unanimous decision. 29-28, 30-27, 30-27.
Fine.
Which
So
is good.
Right again.
That's
That must not have been the one I was talking about then with Tyler. I'll remember it when we get there.
Yeah, it did go the distance. And like you said, Chocoli, I think he's looking good. I think that guy's an up and comer for sure.
What's his record now?
So looks like
something in 1.
12-2.
12-2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, that's good for him. The next fight was one I was excited to talk to you about, and that one was Sabatello. When you look at what Sabatello did, actually I liked Breno. He came out really aggressive at the very beginning of both rounds.
He stuffed like 7 of his first 7 takedowns.
Yeah, and Breno was touching him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he was...
Sabatello was actually striking a little bit until he realized, he's landing on me.
Yeah.
I better shoot.
And he was getting clipped.
He was.
Boy, Sabatello, he had an overhand right, I think, a couple of times, and it looked like he was throwing a baseball.
Yeah.
It was an ugly high up over. It was just an ugly punch. Were you surprised at Breno's scrambling? They had a scramble in the first, and I think one in the second that were really high level.
His takedown defense was really solid, so his scramble ability to be able to get back to his feet, all of his scrambles end up with him getting back to his feet, and he did a fantastic job at it. I was impressed with Sabatello. His grappling was very good.
Yeah.
His ability to get his hips attached to him and keep his hips heavy. Once he got control of him, he got his back and he looked good. I hated having to compliment him, but he looked good and he finished the fight.
He lost the haircut, which I was like, he looks like a normal dude again. Okay.
There was a couple guys that I'm wondering. There were so many guys that missed weight over those 2 cards, like 7 probably. And girls, even Deanna Bennett missed weight.
Yep.
So I was wondering if he cut his hair to try and make weight, because Chris Lencioni also had a buzz, and he usually has this slick back bleached hair. So I don't know.
Matt, we had him on the podcast. Schnell, he shaved his head. I think his last fight, he looked like a completely different person because he was trying to make weight.
He did look different.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did notice that Sabatello, and you heard the commentators say it over and over again, that he learned from his loss to Stotts, and when he was on top of you, he was throwing damage.
Yeah, he was busy.
He was working on the body. He was working, he was doing a lot. But I was impressed with Bruno as well. I thought.
Oh, I was, for sure. To be honest, when I watched the first 2 minutes of the fight, I thought right then I was like, he's not gonna win.
Yeah.
This guy's stuffing his takedown that well and landing, and it's gonna start to break Sabatello, but it didn't.
Well, and how easily Bruno was touching him up.
Yeah.
That was awesome as well.
Yeah, he was tough for a guy I'd never heard of him, so it was great to see.
I think people know who he is now.
Yeah, for sure.
Third fight, we already started talking about this a little bit. Blanco and Sarah McMahon. No, this was a unanimous decision. It was 29-27, 30-27, and 30-26.
Yeah, she had some
I'm trying to do the math.
a couple combos with huge knees. That's 2 10-8 rounds. Oh no, it's just 1 10-8 round.
So a 29-27.
A 29-27 means that one round had to have somehow been a draw or a point was taken. There wasn't a point taken. There had to be.
That's a weird score to me. And then to see a 30-26 and a 29-27 for the same fight, that's hard math for me.
Someone had to have a 10-8 round.
Yep.
And then another round given to McMahon, or a round lost by McMahon.
Okay.
Would have given her the 29, and then strange.
That's a really weird score.
Yeah.
Do you think Blanco lost this fight? I mean, I know that's weird. That's weird math to do, but
Yeah, she did.
This was her fight to win, and do you think that she didn't come out ready, or do you think McMahon really?
McMahon's wrestling was, she was a hammer on top. She had a couple of combinations at one point in the fight where she probably threw 15 knees that landed. A lot of them landed very cleanly, and then she got a takedown off of that.
Yeah.
She I think she struggled a little bit at the very beginning, and then she kind of pulled away as the fight went on.
Blanco was I believe ranked second before this fight. I think she'll drop a little bit. And now, do you see you said this was McMahon's first fight in
she'll
Bellator,
jump into the
right?
rankings
So
now.
she'll jump into the
For sure.
the rankings for sure. Good for her. We talked the podcast earlier about her McMahon's resume, and you said that she was. I think she was 13-6 coming into this, and you said 5 of the 6 she could have won. The one
Right.
would have been Rousey. Maybe this turns the corner for her and gets some momentum for her.
We'll see. She can start to build up some momentum in Bellator now.
It'd be awesome. Next fight, Tim Johnson and Said Salma. Man, this was not a pretty fight.
No, it wasn't.
And to me, this almost looked like a bar fight. This looked like two guys that
Austin
were
was saying the same thing when he was watching it. They were just throwing, big bombs.
Yeah.
And wild. Everything was wild.
And I don't know very much about Tim Johnson's background. I don't know if you do, but it seemed is he like a part-time reserve soldier of some level or something?
I'm not sure. He could be. I know that the first time I had seen him, he knocked out Tyrell Fortune. I believe it was him. And on one of the cards that we were there for it. I don't know if Luke was on the card or if it was just one that was here. I think it was actually at WinStar. And he hits hard. He's a big boy.
He's a big kid.
Yeah, big boy.
And initially you said that you thought Tim Johnson was going to win, and you thought it was just because of his size. He had
Right.
30 pounds. The respect that he gave afterwards, his post-fight interview, talking about how awesome his opponent was. He's like, this is the nicest guy in the world. Couldn't ask for a better. And I've talked about this a lot. One of the things I love most about MMA right now is the mutual respect you see after the fights. You see fighters sitting there. It's almost like you would have no idea if you just started filming the 90 seconds after a fight is over,
Right.
and you see two athletes, and you were to film it and show it to somebody who doesn't watch MMA at all. You'd be like, do you know that these two just fought for, 15 minutes, 25 minutes or whatever?
Yeah.
One dude just knocked out the other one, and you see them like shaking hands and hugging each other. It's just so cool. And to see
because as a sport, it's the rawest thing you can do, right? It's the most pure form of fighting as a sport, right?
Yeah.
It obviously has rules. It's not a street fight, but it's the most combative sport that there is.
Yeah.
And it's two guys with tiny ass gloves on in a cage that have one guy in there that can stop the fight whenever, but it's an emotional thing. There's months leading up to it that you've trained so hard, and it just, there has to be that sort of respect afterwards. Like, you've seen the gnarliest grudge matches where the guys are hugging afterwards. The only person I've ever seen really be crappy afterwards is when Ronda Rousey beat Miesha Tate. Miesha went to shake her hand and she blew her off and walked away, and that was after the fight. I'm like, geez, like, come on.
Well, as much as I love Khabib, he could have a word in that after he beat Conor. That got a little ugly.
That,
for good reason.
It continued to get escalated from the outside. Dylan Dennis was running his mouth from outside the cage, and
for good reason. That was the co-main. So let's go to the main event. Liz Carmouche and Deanna Bennett. First question I got to ask is, why the heck did Liz Carmouche still put the belt on the line even though Deanna missed weight?
So that's, if you fight that night, the belt is on the line for you. She would have lost the belt, but she would not have lost it to Deanna Bennett. Would have then become vacant.
Yeah.
Had Deanna Bennett won, the same thing, I think.
It would have been vacated.
Yeah, it would have been vacated. And then if Liz won, she gets to keep the belt. And,
I understood
that's
it,
her.
and maybe that was wrong, but I understood it like Carmouche had an option to not, since Bennett missed weight, the fight still could have happened, but it wouldn't have been a title defense, and it would have just been a fight.
So now looking back, she's got at least one title defense, right? She's made one title defense, and that's going to go towards a record or anything that she is able to do moving forward, and she was confident enough to know that she was going to win the fight.
And she did win the fight.
She did win the fight.
I think it was a fourth-round submission.
Yeah. Deanna Bennett was tough. She is tough.
Yeah. And
had her in trouble.
She clipped her good a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I really thought that Bennett might even pull it out.
Off, yeah.
And then it turned in a hurry. And I also, now I'm going back. Deanna Bennett was freaking out before she tapped. Her legs
started stomping her feet.
Yeah. Was that because it was, and I don't know if you know this, do you think it was because she was uncomfortable? Do you think it was because she mentally knew she just lost and she was pissed?
That's how I took it watching it. That could have been her tapping, if her hands weren't free. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, I thought she was not so much having a tantrum, but realizing,
crap, I'm done.
Like I can't get out and it's over.
Yes. And didn't want to.
Yeah.
But again, seemed gracious afterwards. But I was surprised to see her. You're at a title defense. You've been talking a lot to miss weight, and that was only a pound and a half. I think is. I mean, I say only, but I know that's a lot
for a title. It's flat. You don't get the extra pound. So she was, she would have been 0.2 over the extra pound, even if she got that.
Yep. And there is no. Like there's no
Nothing.
give on that, and that going into it's super firm. Any thoughts on her title defense? I mean, or on
Liz?
On Liz?
No, I believe that she will now get Ilima-Lei Macfarlane.
Yeah,
and we'll get to that fight, but I think she retains the title.
Yeah, Ilima-Lei called her out, which was a little bit weird. So let's transition rapid fire. You gave a couple 295 early predictions. And let me see if I can pull up some of those. Let me see.
Who was first, Kai or Mads?
Kai, yep. Unanimous decision, 30-27. I don't think anybody was surprised with that decision. Kai looked dominant.
Audley Edwards looked really good for 2.5 minutes. He came out blasting Kai's leg, blasting the head kicks, blasting body. Like he was very aggressive, and it didn't even phase Kai. Kai would eat it, check it, check it, check it, and then he started putting his together. And man, I tell you, we've talked about him a lot, in the past, just about how long I've known his family and what a tough guy he is, and how good he's looked since coming over to Bellator. His striking, everything is much improved, and
really fast hands,
really
great
fast,
hands.
really fast. And he's a 2-time NAI and national champion in wrestling, so he's not easy to take down.
Yeah,
and he scraps like that. He's a lot of fun to watch. And I think he's dangerous. I think like I said before, I think he should already be in the rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. And based off of what I saw, I think that he could work his way up pretty quickly.
Audley Edwards is someone I've talked about Luke fighting.
Yep.
After Pico beat him, we'd still like to fight him, but man, he looked dangerous. He looked very dangerous at the beginning of that fight. His takedown defense was very good. Both of their takedown defense was very good. He came right out and took Kai down. They hit the ground and boom, bounced right back to his feet.
Yep.
And then Kai had taken him down, I think, but he defended really well. He was tough.
Is there a hole in Kai's game right now?
I think no. I've not seen one. I don't know what his actual jiu-jitsu's like, but when you hit like he does and you have the wrestling he does, so you're most likely going to be on top. And I don't think he gets on top of Pico.
Yeah.
But he's, he definitely is dangerous, man. He's I don't see a weakness. I'd have to go back and watch him and TJ Brown fight, because they were both on their backs there, so I can at least see Kai off his back there. But otherwise, no.
Yeah, it seems like it would be hard to get him in a situation where his jiu-jitsu would be challenged because of his wrestling.
Yeah, you got to put him on his back for sure.
So, another dominant performance in the prelims was Mads Burnell and Justin Gonzalez. Justin looked great. I think that he seems, I don't know, I think he's a good fighter, but Mads, unanimous decision, 30-27 all the way across, and I don't think there was a surprise there either.
No, not at all. And Justin looked good. So he fought Taiwan Claxton a while back, and Claxton was a good wrestler, and he was out wrestling him, keeping him on the fence, and they talked highly about his wrestling coming into this fight. John McCarthy was, and then Mads steamrolled him. Like first of all, he took Mads down, got swept, and ended up on bottom right away, and couldn't get up the rest of the round.
Yep.
The next round, I was like, well, he'll change game plan. We'll see what his striking looks like. Comes right back out and shoots and takes him down again.
Like the very first thing.
And I'm like, where is your fight IQ?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he got swept and was on bottom again, and I think had his back taken.
Yep.
And it went the distance, right?
It did go the distance.
So the third round was more of the same. Mads is getting takedowns on this guy, and like doing work on him. He had a lot of sub setups on him and stuff like that, but none close to finishing, I don't think. But that's another fight we would take.
Justin's corner between 2 and 3 straight up said,
"Stop wrestling.
Let your hands go.
Yes.
Do not wrestle. Let your hands go.
Yeah.
You got to make this happen." And he ended up, I think, the last half of the round, he still ended up on his back.
Yeah.
With Mads on top of him.
Yeah.
Mads looks good.
He looks good, man. I said when he fought Adam Borix, he looked great. He lost a close decision in that fight. Was ripping the body.
Yep.
Looked fantastic. And then this time, I don't know what you know what number Mads is? I think he's like 6 or 7, and he's calling out Daniel Weichel, who's number 10. And I don't know why, but in his interview, he seemed bitter about it, and he's like talking trash, saying something in German, and then saying that let's do it somewhere overseas. So they're going to be a huge selling point in them. But I think he's 6 or 7. Pico was 5, and I think Justin Gonzalez or Jeremy Kennedy's 4. I think that's how it is. But yeah, he's calling out.
Yeah, why is there
Daniel Weichel, who's behind us?
Is there beef there?
It sounds like it. Lucas said he's heard him talking trash about him kind of all year.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's something between the two.
Well, this is the third fight in a row that we're calling in this weight class, James Gonzalez and Aaron Pico. And this went exactly, I think, how you thought it was going to go as well. This did go the distance. Again, another 30-27 unanimous decision in favor of Aaron Pico.
So I think James Gonzalez looked very good. He looked better than I'd seen him look in the past. He's the guy that beat Cody Law. And he was not signed with Bellator. And he was mentioned to us a couple times, and I was like, yeah, he looks, first of all, he should be a contracted fighter with Bellator, is what I said. And I thought it was not, so Cody Law, I believe, was also on like a developmental deal. And I thought just James Gonzalez was a very tough fight to be on a developmental deal, somebody who's not getting the credit he should have because he's not signed.
Right.
He is now.
Right.
He was signed before this fight, but he took a fight on a week's notice against Aaron Pico and went the distance with him. Aaron looked good. I thought he looked slow for Aaron. He's very fast, very strong, very explosive and dynamic. And I just thought, watching the fight, I was like, I don't know if he's hurt or if he's coming off of surgery, so he's just kind of feeling it out.
Yeah.
Ripping the body with that left hand, though.
Yes.
So his shoulder, that's the shoulder that was dislocated.
Yep.
So clearly it was strong. James Gonzalez can take a body punch because, God, I was sitting there just like, oh, my God.
Yeah, his ribs look like my sweatshirt in between rounds. They were bright red.
So props to Aaron Pico. Love him. I think he called out Jeremy Kennedy to have a rematch with him for the vacated belt, or he's saying vacate the belt while Pitbull's down fighting at 35.
Right.
So that'd be cool. I think that fight needs to get run back anyway, and I would like to see Pico fight for the belt.
James Gonzalez, that's in your roadmap as well at some point, potentially, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know where he is now after the loss to Pico. It won't put him in the rankings, but he's a signed fighter now.
And a solid competitor.
Yeah, he's a good jiu-jitsu black belt. He has good striking. He trains out of Matt Serra and Ray Longo's gym in Long Island. So he's a gamer.
Ali Malay McFarlane and Kana Watanabe. This did go the distance as well. It was a split decision. This was the only fight you got wrong, and it was by 1 point on a judge.
Well, I got it wrong, but I think I got it right. Like, I didn't think she won the fight.
They got it right. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think Ali Malay won the fight.
Right.
Either.
And so I think, who would I pick?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the one you did get this right. It was Blinko that you got wrong.
Right.
Ali Malay, you did pick
to lose.
You picked Ali Malay to win. You got it right.
I did. Okay, but
you got it wrong because you think Kana actually won the fight.
Yeah, I picked her to win because I thought she'd be hungry coming off of 2 losses and being a former champion. But I thought she lost the fight. She was on her back a lot. Granted, she did throw some strikes from there, but I thought that Watanabe beat her. I thought she lost the fight.
If I remember right, Ali Malay her strikes were landing. Her significant strikes were significant. I think they were doing damage. They were catching Kana. I feel like
she was landing a straight right, I think.
Yeah.
Clean a lot.
Clean.
Mm-hmm.
And Watanabe wore the fight much more than Ali Malay did afterwards. I mean, I think Ali Malay drew blood the first round, and I think that she was continuing to be a surgeon and I think so. But when it went to the scorecard, you actually had it for Watanabe.
Yes.
Okay. Ali Malay, we just talked about this earlier. She already called out Liz. Apparently, they're super good friends.
Yeah.
What's that like? Have you been in that kind of situation where you're looking and calling out and wanting to fight somebody that outside the cage you're legitimately tight and have a relationship with?
I don't think so. I fought a guy, John Alessio, who trained with a bunch of my good friends.
Okay.
A bunch of the guys that we trained with a lot. I had never trained with him. So that was even weird.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine fighting someone that's been a good friend or training partner.
Would you call her cage wife or something
yeah,
like that? I
yeah.
mean, like there was a high level of.
But I believe that they are two different level fighters, and as well as she won, I think that Liz Carmouche dominates that and defends her belt.
Is there anybody in that division that's on the level of Carmouche right now, do you
Well,
think?
I wish. Oh no, they're at 25. Yeah, I mean, well, God, I was gonna say that Juliana Velasquez, but she beat her, right? Is that who it was, or what's her name?
Yeah, I think
Not
it was
Juliana
Velasquez. No, I think it was Velasquez. I think you're right.
Who she beat twice, right?
I know she beat her once. I know. Yeah, we went through
I
and
think there was a rematch and she beat her handily. She was mad that she lost the first time and wanted a rematch, and then lost again. Pretty sure.
see if I can actually pull it up right here. But yeah, it's hard to see. So Juliana Velasquez, she did beat her twice.
Yeah.
April of 2022 and December of 2022.
So I don't know who's in there right now.
But, you know, her first win against, and this is the second time, I'm sorry. First win was TKO elbows in the fourth round, and then the second win against Velasquez for Carmouche was an armbar in the second. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. Those are two pretty decisive ways to win.
Yeah. I don't know who else is in that division that would give her problems at the moment.
So then that brings us to what I hoped would have been the best fight of the night. It was definitely the highlight of the night,
Man.
but it only lasted about a minute. Stotts and Patchy Mix, and
I called the fight. I'm glad I didn't bet on how, because that's not how I would have bet.
yeah,
You know, Patchy looked amazing. Stotts looked amazing. He was landing a very hard, stiff jab, you know, numerous times, land a couple kicks, and then when he threw the jab the next time, man, he just ate that knee. And this is one of those, the things we work on in the gym
actually
translate,
worked.
because then people were showing videos of Patchy working on this a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And
It's Leon Edwards.
God, did it land
Usman
hard.
all over again.
God, did it land hard.
It was just clean.
I mean, it was crack, and I was like, oh, God, I came up off my couch, and Austin stood up, he's like, whoa. But I called Patchy to win.
Yeah.
But, man, I felt bad. You know, I watched Rufian, his eyes when he sat up and was kind of like looking around, and I'm sure the fact that he just got knocked out, the fact that he just lost, the fact that he just lost $1 million, the fact that he lost the belt, like all of that was all at one time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God, man, that feeling has just got to be terrible.
If anybody hasn't listened to the interview with Molly, go back and listen, because she talks about her first loss
Yeah.
when she goes to sleep, and when she wakes up and she's like, wait, you know, and she starts telling the story, and then it all comes down. I was thinking of that when I saw Stotts coming to.
He
And
had
I'm like,
so
yeah,
much on the line.
so much on the line.
And what was he, 19-1?
And a year's worth of competing and training, and he just, it was milliseconds. He just got caught.
Yeah.
And
got caught hard.
yeah.
And I was telling the guys, he dipped that far. I swear, 3 inches. He dipped that far as he threw the jab.
Yep.
And that knee came up, whap! And I was just like, oh my goodness.
That knee almost came up like a hook almost. The way he threw the knee.
Well, his
and
hands were here, and it came right up and around and in the middle.
And it knocked his chin off to the side, and his head spun almost like he'd gotten. Yeah, it was
all the way around.
It wasn't the Pez dispenser
No.
coming straight up. It was a side.
His neck sore,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Mix. He's now going to fight for. He's got the Grand Prix belt. He's
Yep.
got the interim belt. So now they've
He'll
got
get
to
the winner
unify
of
that.
Pitbull and Sergio, and he's hoping it's Pitbull because he wants to fight the number one pound for pound guy.
Absolutely.
To
When you think of somebody like Pitbull, that name speaks for itself a little bit.
Sure.
But you've seen what Patchy has done. I mean, and we'll get there when the time comes. But is it?
He's hard to bet against.
And
And Pitbull's getting up there. You know what I mean? He's getting older. I don't know. He's 36, I think. I honestly think if he wins the belt, he retires. He'll have been a 3-time champion, division champion.
Oh, Pitbull.
Yeah.
So he'll get, because he went down to 35,
Yeah.
so he'll be 55, 45, and 35.
Yeah.
And if he gets that belt, then he'll.
I think so. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
mean, no one, UFC or Bellator, I mean, nobody has done a 3 division.
No.
Is that right?
No. And his fight's before Cejudo's fight.
Okay.
Because Cejudo's fighting for his third.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Henry Cejudo's doing the same
against
thing.
Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that'll be a good one. Great weekend. Lots of fights and
Super excited.
solid 9-1.
Yeah,
And
not
a
bad-
split
not bad.
decision. That was razor thin. You could have gone 10-0.
You guys can go ahead and start betting on my picks now if you'd like. Just don't bet a lot, just bet a little.
That's right.
See you next time. Thank you.
It is all over, just like that.